Greetings, Dr. Steffi here. Today I'm going to speak specifically about the chemical industry. Many of you may know, or maybe not, that I'm actually a PhD chemist by training, and I've been in the chemical industry and in the industry of working with very technical people. I want to talk to you about three different things today that I think are important to you. One is, how do you deal with technical complexity when it comes to sharing effectively knowledge from one person to another within your team? How do you deal with the aging workforce? And also, I'm going to touch upon private equity a bit. So hang on for a moment with that one. When we work in an industry that is very technical, and at this point I'm talking about the chemical industry, but there are many others that are very similar in their problems. When you have technical complexity, then there's an extra level of challenge when it comes to knowledge sharing, right? Because of course we expect the people we hire to come to us with a certain technical knowledge, but we all know that they have to learn many, many, many more things once they get to us, once they get to our company. So there are a lot of pieces to that. And I always say there's two types of knowledge. There's the knowledge that you're aware of, and there's not the knowledge that has become so automatic to you that you're not even aware of it. That second part is the very difficult part to teach, because you are only aware of it when at the moment when you actually need it. So that kind of means that somebody has to tag along with someone else for a long while before all of those situations arise, doesn't it? Well, with the method that I've created, it's a framework and method that's been proven by now very, very well to work very well. And it's called Brilliance mining. It actually gets access to both of these pieces of knowledge, the conscious knowledge and the unconscious knowledge. And I've put together a mini course that I'm inviting you to actually go check out. It's on my website called thebrilliancemind.com. I'm going to link it underneath. And within about 15 minutes, you're going to have a really good idea of how brilliance mining works, who does it and why, and what can you do. And again, I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who's worked most of my professional life in very technical environments. So let me come to the second point, which is the aging workforce. The people who are close to your to retirement, who are working in your company, they are of a different generation, let's face it. And how can we be effective in transferring knowledge from their brain into the brains of the younger people you have brought on board, I meant more recently, or who are you going to bring on board in the future? There's a knowledge gap, and there's also a generational gap and the way that people are learning. So how can you present this information in a way that is appealing to the younger people and also contains all that intangible knowledge that you older, much more experienced people have? Again, brilliance mining is an answer to that, because you can excavate the information. I call it extracting. It doesn't hurt. And there's some very tangible tips that I give. So essentially, it's documenting it, it's observing it, and then, of course, you have to refine it, because when it first comes out, it's kind of like diamonds in the rough. They may be kind of hard to swallow for your younger people, but they can be polished and made bite-sized so that it's actually enjoyable to learn this way and effective. And then last, I wanted to touch on private equity. Some of companies in your space in the chemical industry have been acquired by private equity. And the question is, how does that work? What's the impact of private equity on the workforce that you have? Do they think like, oh man, these people have acquired us, they're going to just do whatever they can to improve our profitability and then they're going to sell us? They don't really care about us at all. Well, that's pretty short sighted. And some private equity firms are really waking up to that fact, or maybe have been operating like this all along. They realize that if they create a culture of effective knowledge sharing where people aren't afraid to lose their jobs when they share knowledge from their brain into a system, let's say a learning system, a training system, that they will not lose their job, but in fact, contrary to that fear, they will be more appreciated. They will actually rise in status, how they are viewed within the company, and they will be given the permission and opportunity to actually operate more at the innovative frontier of the company. All of that is a win-win. It raises the speed with which you can scale, it raises the level of profitability, it raises the loyalty of the employees, because even if the private equity firm sells the company to someone, which of course sooner or later they will, the buyer will look at how likely is it that the workforce will stick around? How likely is it that the knowledge that makes this company as successful as it is will stick around? How much of it has been captured? And how likely is it that the workforce will stick around? So these are the three things we talked about. Effective knowledge sharing is very important in the chemical industry. We talked about technical complexity. We talked about the aging workforce, and there are two problems. One is the intangible knowledge that you older, more experienced people have, and then bridging that generational gap. And then also we touched on the impact of private equity. Many of those companies have woken up to the fact that just scaling without ignoring culture, without ignoring also systems for knowledge sharing is not smart. So I invite you to go check out the mini Brilliance Mining course. It's absolutely free. And what I would love to do is I would love to hear what you think of it, what your comments are. So you can do that either here, or you can, as you get access to the Brilliance Mining course, you can join our Brilliance Mining community, and we have a way where you can comment there as well. So I look forward to all of that. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll say ciao. Ciao.